Hey, what's going on, mamas? I'm saying hi to all the moms out there, beginners if you're watching this. I'm back with another tutorial for your mom, and today I'm gonna teach you how to set up your Osmo Pocket 3. It's gonna be a little bit of a longer video, so stick with me. I'm gonna try to make this super simple and talk to you like a regular person that maybe doesn't know too much about cameras or could care less what D-Log-M is. If you got the Osmo Pocket 3 camera, most people get them with the get the creator combo. If you haven't gotten it yet, I'm gonna tell you don't get the creator combo. Get the, go to DJI.com and they have a combo that has the Osmo Pocket 3 with a DJI Mic Mini, which is the microphone I'm currently using right now. It's a little tiny one, and that's all you need. I would recommend that later on you do buy this little tripod. It's 16 bucks, so you can kind of build your own combo. Make sure to get a microphone. The internal microphone on this thing is great, but it's only good if you have it at arm's length distance. Like if I'm talking to it right here and that's all you're gonna be doing, then the internal mic is gonna do just fine. But where this microphone comes in handy is when you wanna set this Osmo Pocket 3, because it has the awesome face tracking to track you around when you're like filming and stuff like that, is that I can move all the way out here and you guys can hear me clearly. You guys can hear everything I'm saying. I could just go out here and be cold and then come back and the sound doesn't change. The same goes with this camera. I'm using the DJI Action 5 to film this video so that I can show you guys the DJI Pocket 3. But the first thing I'm gonna tell you guys is that if you go on YouTube, you're gonna fall into this cinematic vortex loophole. I call it the Matrix, that is gonna suck you in, and you're gonna wanna try to mess with too many settings and make this whole thing complicated. Trust me, I bought this thing 3 times. Finally, on the 3rd time, it clicked on me that this thing is meant to make my life easier, and you literally just have to flip the screen like this, and this thing turns on and it's ready to go. I can literally hit this red button right here for record, point it at my face, and start talking to you guys like this. That's it. So I'm gonna tell you the settings that I use and that I think that you should use to get the best image out of this thing. And actually any settings are gonna get you the best image out of this, but you don't need to color grade. You guys don't need to learn how to color grade, but if you do, I have a mom tutorial on that if you wanna mess a little bit with D-Log and stuff like that. But right now, this tutorial is how to get you started real quick. So when you turn this thing on, camera's gonna come on. Now, I know that in this camera, unfortunately, I can't show you the settings, but I'm just gonna walk you through it. On the bottom, you're gonna see, on the bottom of the screen, you're gonna see the resolution. I think by default is at 1080, which is fine for internet and stuff like that. But I like to future-proof my content, and I feel like standard nowadays is 4K. So you're gonna swipe up on the menu, and you're just gonna slide over to 4K, and then you have the option of filming in different frame rates. Frame rates are gonna give you a smoother kind of motion to your images, to your videos. It's gonna give you a smoother motion to your videos. If you've noticed, soap operas look like a little smoother because they're probably filmed at a higher frame rate, whether it's 30 or 60. But for all of my videos, if you like what I see, I film everything at 24 or 30. I think it's a good place to start. You can see for yourself the difference if you film a video in 30 versus 24. You personally might like 30 because it looks smoother. So there's nothing wrong with either or, but I like 24 frames. So we're gonna set that up. Once that is in 4K and you have your aspect ratio up in the top right corner, you're gonna see 16:9. Make sure that's at 16:9 because that's like your standard wide angle field of view for your video that TVs use and stuff like that. And then the next thing you're gonna do is go swipe from right to left and hit the Pro button up there. That's gonna enable some features for you. So the first thing you're gonna wanna do is go to exposure, make sure that is in auto, and it should be at 50 to 6400. I leave the full range of ISO because I rather capture the moment than have to worry about a little bit of noise or grain or whatever in your footage. This camera does a pretty decent job at filming in low light situations, but I think for most of us, 90% of the time you're gonna be outside, you're gonna be in a place where you have some sort of light, and this thing is gonna perform just fine. Don't get too caught up in low light tests and all that stuff. Leave it 50 to 6400. The only thing I do want you to change though is on the left side over here, you have a little dial that says EV on it, and there's a number. dial that down to negative 0.3 EV and then just hit confirm. Now what the EV does is when your Osmo Pocket, or actually any camera, your phone does this too, when it's looking at an image, for example right here, it's gonna look at the whole image and it's gonna say, okay, there's this much light in here, and the camera will do some computer geeky stuff and it'll adjust so that the image looks really nice like it does right now on this camera. But most of the time, the cameras will look at the dark spots and tries to give you more light in the image, causing like this area of my window to be blown out, what we call, or overexposed, where this would be very, very bright to the point where you can't even see the trees over here and the backgrounds or anything like that. Or your face could just look really white and just overblown with the highlights. The highlights are the brightest part of your image, and the darks are obviously, or shadows are the dark areas of your image. -3 is gonna tell that camera to, whatever the camera decides to choose, you're telling the camera, okay, from that, dial it down 1 step, 3 steps, a third, and that's what we're doing here. That's what the EV does. It basically tells the camera to dial it down a certain amount of steps or dial it up a certain amount of steps depending on your lighting situation. Hit confirm. Once you do that, take off the glamour effect unless you really want it. But I think all moms look beautiful and you don't need that glamour effect. So what happens when you put that glamour effect on, it just looks like you look kind of like an AI like mannequin or something. It gets too waxy. Try it for yourself and play with it, but I recommend taking it off. I think your natural beauty is the best. Make sure that the color profile is on normal 10-bit. Normal means that the camera already puts their own colors in your footage, which DJI has beautiful color profile. You do not need to learn how to color grade or anything like that. If you don't want to mess with this, you really just wanted to film your family stuff with this camera and your events, whatever it is that you're trying to film, and not have to touch it on the computer. You don't have to do any of that stuff. Just leave it a normal 10-bit color. You're gonna get beautiful colors just like you see in this camera as well. And then for focus mode, we're gonna keep that on continuous, because if you're moving around, you're gonna want the camera to adjust focus so that if you stand up and walk away, you're still in focus. What happens if you set it to manual and I was sitting here and I decide to move back, all of a sudden you're gonna be blurry because the focus locked at that certain distance. So you'll probably never touch this thing on manual. Just make sure it is on continuous. And then for breathing compensation, I say turn that on. Basically what that does is if I was to show you, well, this camera doesn't do it, but if I was to put my hand here, it would focus on my hand and I would look blurry. And then if I move my hand, the focus would go to my face. But in the process of that happening, the background tends to kind of zoom in and out. I don't think that you should even know anything about this because you probably wouldn't be using this thing at all. Just keep it on. It's going to give you a better image when it comes to, you know, focusing and stuff like that. That's all you need to understand. This is not a techie video, guys. I'm just giving you straight, easy instructions here. Adjustment. I'm going to advise that you turn it to -2 and -2 on sharpness and -2 on noise reduction. The camera does a really good job at giving you a beautiful image right out of the box. And sometimes certain cameras and phones will over process things and they will look a little bit too saturated, too crunchy, too smooth to where it doesn't look realistic. You're more than welcome. This is more of a preference, but you'll see that even in the professional guys, they turn all this down. And I think that it is the best option, even just for everybody to turn it off. Like I said, this produces a beautiful image without it. Right now I have -2 on the sharpness and -2 on noise reduction on this camera as well. And it just gives you a more natural image. So once you do that, we're gonna hit confirm. Now you're gonna go to your audio, which if you have the audio is right next to that, on the Pro menu, it's right next to the little aperture little wheel. You'll see a little microphone. It should, if you got the creator combo, it should look exactly like your DJI Mic 2. You click on that. I don't have one connected right here because I don't have a DJI Mic 2. I have a DJI Mic Mini, but it's currently connected to this camera. But I know what the menu looks like. Once you click on that, you're gonna go to transmitter gain, and you're gonna wanna turn that all the way down to -12 because that is the sensitivity of your microphone. And by default, these cameras have it very, very hot, very sensitive. So if you're breathing, if you're walking, if somebody's, you know, far away or there's a loud noise, it's gonna capture that. Also, if you talk to the camera, it's gonna distort the sound because they are so sensitive. You're gonna need to either put the microphone really far away, but most of these mics are either clipped around our chest area. In order to get the best audio like you are listening to me right now, you're gonna wanna dial down that sensitivity. And -12 seems to be the sweet spot where the levels don't peak. And in order to know if your levels are peaking, you can see before you adjust this, on the top, once you connect your microphone, on the top of the screen, you're gonna see a green light going, like moving around as you're talking. And that's your level of microphone. If you don't adjust it to -12, you're gonna constantly see that thing hit the red and the yellow mark, which means that you are distorting the sound. It's clipping, which means that it's not gonna be a pleasant sound for the viewer either. So make sure you keep it at -12. If you're not editing, which I'm assuming you're not gonna be editing by shooting normal color profile, making your life easier, you have the option to turn on noise cancellation. I recommend not turning it on unless you absolutely need it. For example, if you're in a public area and you really are trying to say something to the video that your viewers really need to hear, I would suggest then turning it on because it does a really good job at it. But if you're just walking around and maybe you're saying like, hey, take a look at this park, or you're like let's just say like you're at Disney World and you're like, hey guys, like this is my favorite ride and all this stuff, and you're just showing it off, I would say leave noise cancellation off, because part of bringing people into your world in your videos is the ambient sound. And if you have noise cancellation on, the videos are not going to sound natural, right? Right now, you probably hear the birds and the wind and probably the ambulance that was going by and everything like that. And that's good because you can hear that I'm actually in a place. The reality is that we're always constantly hearing ambient noises, whether it's in your room, in your kitchen, outside, in your car. There's always background noises, and that is very normal for us to hear. Everything sounds weird when it's just quiet and all you can hear is my voice. Now, one more thing on the audio that you have to access, but it's on another menu. I don't know why they did this, but it's over here. You're gonna slide down. This is like your main menu for settings. You're gonna go into settings, the little gear on the bottom left corner, and you're gonna go to wireless microphone, and you're gonna scroll up, and when your microphone is plugged in or synced with your Osmo Pocket, you should be able to see these settings. But you're gonna want to take off low cut option off. You're gonna want to turn that off because it's gonna make your microphone not sound as good as it needs to be. It basically is gonna take away the bass sound of your voice. That's the simplest way and the easiest way I can explain it to you. And it just doesn't sound professional. When you hear a professional sound, it's because you're hearing some of those bass notes, and they're the low sounds, because cheaper mics tend to sound really high pitched, and that's what that's gonna sound like from the start. If you're wondering why your microphone doesn't sound as good as mine, and we have the same microphone, it's because that low cut filter. I didn't know for a long time until I started diving into the settings, and I found that out. So I wanted to save you some time and let you know to turn that off. It's on by default. Other than that, you're pretty much ready to film. You just hit record. Everything's gonna be filmed on here. The only thing I do recommend you getting though is a micro SD card. There is one on here. Let me take it out. It goes on the side of this little. It looks like this little tiny thing. I hope you can see it. I'll put it closer to my face so you can see it. That little tiny memory card, they're super cheap. Get one on Amazon. SanDisk is my favorite for these type of memory cards. I think 512 megabytes is the max capacity that you can get on here. I know that they sell some that are probably 1 terabyte big, but you don't need that much. The 512 gigabyte card will get you around 11 hours of record time, which is a lot. But if you're traveling and you want to store a bunch of videos on here, that's going to give you a lot of storage, and they're very, very cheap. I'll put an affiliated link on my description. So if you want to pick one up, you can help me out by getting me some Chipotle with that. It's not going to cost you anything extra. It just gives me a couple bucks for making this video. If you tap that corner, it's just like your phone. It flips it flips the gimbal to the front. If you tap that again, it flips it back to you, selfie mode, and you can start filming. Other than that, one of the biggest things I need to tell you guys, and the most important thing here, is you do not need to shoot this thing in manual. You're also gonna get encounters from other YouTubers that are gonna try to sell you these things right here, okay? The ND filters. And for my mamas out there, if you don't even know what motion blur is, don't even look it up. Then just use these settings. Don't even look up motion blur because you're gonna go down a loophole and you do not need these things. These things, I'll tell you exactly what these things are. These things are like sunglasses for your camera. And basically what it allows you to do, I'm not gonna get geeky with the settings, but you see how my hand, if I move it really fast, it looks kind of like a little, it looks kind of like a strobe effect. Like it just like, even like it, like, see if I move my hands really, really fast like this, it looks kind of like almost like jittery, but it's happening really fast. That is the cause of not having motion blur. Because if you was to wave your hand across your face, you see a natural blurriness to your hand in real life that you don't see obviously in this video. So that is the best way I can explain motion blur, and these give you that natural motion blur that you see if you wave your hand in front, of yourself and you look at it. That gives you that look on your videos. And yes, it does look a little more natural and all that stuff, but it will make you hate your camera because you're going to, this thing is really fragile, by the way, so be careful when using this. And I do recommend immediately to put the little strap that came with it on and always wear it in your hand when holding this, because if you drop this one time, oh, I don't know if it's gonna make it. The gimbal head and the parts on here are very, very fragile. If you feel like you drop a lot of things, then you might be wanting to look at the Action 5 Pro, which is what I'm currently filming on, and I'll make another video on that. But this thing is really fragile. It's a beautiful camera, but you just need to be careful where you put it and stuff like that. It's also not weather resistant, so make sure you keep it away from the rain and all that good stuff. But these things, you basically take them off, and they're like little, they look like this. They're little magnet little lenses like this that go right in front of the lens, and they magnetize. And you're gonna have to fiddle around with your settings all the time. Right now, let me show you real quick. This will be kind of like the end of the video. That's all you need to know. That this camera is not really complicated. So let me show you right now. I don't have ND filters. I don't recommend them. I would say make your life easier and shoot in full auto, which is what the settings that I gave you right now. If I had an ND, if I was using NDs right now and got that beautiful motion blur, and I was to step out there, I would have to stop, open up the case, put an ND, adjust my settings, and then hit record again and continue recording. But that is not ideal. Carrying those things in your pocket, they're so little, you're gonna drop them almost like 80% of the time. They're gonna get fingerprints on them, which then it's gonna make your image look not so good. And it's just a big hassle. And the whole point here, guys, is that I'm trying to save you time, make you enjoy vlogging and filming your experiences, sharing them and all that good stuff. So let me show you. Because I shoot auto, I don't need to do that. I can literally just walk out here in broad daylight, sun's blasting in my face, and the people are gonna say, oh, you're gonna get a better image quality. No, look, my blue sky is right up there. You can still get the blue sky. You can see my face. You can see everything. See, you don't need it. Now, let's go back in a different, darker area and see what happens. So now that we're in here, look, the camera adjusted by itself and I can continue filming. So that's pretty much like the easiest way I can explain this, guys. You don't need the ND filters, get away from them. You don't need motion blur. If you don't even know what that is, don't even look it up. Use your camera, enjoy it. Those are the settings. It's that easy, guys. This is not rocket science. And I just wanted to make this video to hopefully help somebody out there to set up and start using their Osmo Pocket 3. But if you're curious on color grading and maybe you want to be a little bit more advanced, and if there are any videos that you'd like to request for your mom tutorial series, remember that tutorials for your mom series are tutorials for beginners, for our parents, for people that need help with tech in a very, very simple, easy way. So that's the purpose of these videos. If you're a professional or know more about the camera, then you probably shouldn't be watching this video. You probably are not watching this video. So yeah, moms, if you have any requests for videos, let me know down below and I'll be more than happy to answer the question or make a video if it's a topic that requires a full video to make. So anyways, take it easy, guys. Love y'all. Peace.